Looks like everybody's present, so we're going to call the meeting to order. First of all, you probably noticed that we are down two board members. Mr. Zumwalt, I suspect, is on a scheduled vacation, and so is Mr. Earl Mann. So, the three of us will do our best to take care of that. We have a couple items to report out of closed session today. And first item, in a matter of consideration of student expulsion. On a motion by Board Member Sherman and second by Board Member Cardoza, the board voted unanimously to approve the expulsion of student ID number 00334873. In addition to that, during closed session, the board unanimously voted to reject a claim for injury or damage filed by Christopher Cortez. The board further instructed the district to relay this rejection to Mr. Cortez as well as to Keenan and Associates for processing. All right, so I would like to ask our student representative, Shane Strong, to lead us in the flag salute.
Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and then at this time, we would also going to administer the oath of office to student trustee Shane Strong.
Okay, Sean,
Mr.
Shane, if
Cardoza?
you would join me up here at the podium, please. Now, for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to meet Shane yet, he is currently the president of the College of the Sequoia Student Senate. And as Student Senate president, one of his responsibilities is to serve in the seat of student trustee and representative to the board during the time which a regular appointed student trustee is not available. So they didn't have a student trustee step forward at the end of the spring semester to be able to appoint. So until they process additional student requests for consideration to the board in their fall meetings, Shane, as the president of Student Senate, fills in now and serves as our student representative to the board. So with that, for the time that he will be with us, I'd like to issue him his oath of office to be able to assume those responsibilities. So, Shane, you have to raise your right hand, please, and you will repeat after me. I, and then state your name,
I, Shane Strong,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I swear I will
that I swear I will
bear true faith and allegiance
bear faith, truth, and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United
to
States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
and that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
and without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will
and that I will
well and faithfully discharge
well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties of the office which I'm about to enter. So help me
Okay,
God.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Take your seat. We always get hung up on that part that says, without any mental reservation.
I think I said something different.
All right, well, very good. Well, welcome on board, Mr. Strong. Shane.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, good. So with that, we will move on to item 5. Per Board Policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum time of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. So having said that, are there any comments concerning items on the agenda today? Appears to be none. Public comments concerning items not on the agenda? Also none. So with that, we will move on to item 6, and we will ask Shane Strawn for if he has a student trustee report for us today.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today I don't have much. Of course, it's still summer session, so there's not much to report on. I just have one item that I did discuss earlier with Superintendent President Carrizosa. It's an honor and privilege also to be serving at the state level as the on the board of directors for the Student Senate for California Community Colleges, but it is also an honor that our school has an opportunity to be on the executive board too. I was elected by my colleagues at the state level in Sacramento over the weekend to be the new Vice President of Finance, which is an extreme honor because I will be overseeing and in charge of the new $2 SRF fee that will be implemented throughout the entire community college system. It will be my job to oversee that entire budget, which is around $5 million, I believe. So basically, for the students that are here, every time that when you enroll in college and you have a unit or more, I believe it's a unit or more if I'm not mistaken, we provide an SRF fee for advocacy for students, and we use that to advocate student legislation and other things at the Capitol or elsewhere. So it's an honor and a privilege to be representing the students at the state level in that capacity. But other than that, I do have some colleagues here from our board, our Commissioner of Records that we just appointed the other day. We did have a really great turnout for Commissioner of Records, Commissioner of Publicity, and we filled those roles as I stated the last meeting. And so I was very, very happy that we now have a full board in that capacity. So I'm looking forward to the next year, and we have a really, like I said, a really good agenda coming forward. So thank you so much, Mr. President, on that. And hopefully in the next month, I'll be able to provide you a larger update on the plans that we have for Student Senate.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Board member reports, starting to my left, Mr. Sherman. No report today? Ms. Cardoza?
I think I failed to mention at the last meeting, I'm not sure if I did, but I just wanted to comment on graduation. That seems like a long time ago now, but it wasn't. I just wanted to say thank you to all the administrators here at COS that made that run so smooth, and for all the students that came out in March that took part in graduation. I've just heard lots of positive feedback from my community members that were there and participated, and just how well organized it was. So I just want to say thank you.
Mm-hmm. It was. I'll second that. I don't have anything else today, so COS Foundation report. I see Mr. Foster's here with us today.
My only report item is just to call attention to the invitations that I left in front of each of you for both our crush party that's coming in September and our joint venture activity or event that's going to be happening at the Porter Fieldhouse with the Visalia Rotary Community Foundation to benefit the President's Scholars Program. That's it.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Foster? Apparently not, because he's leaving the podium. He's not sticking around.
No questions in the summer.
Okay. Jennifer, Dr. Lacerna is ready to go with our monthly accreditation report.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to give a quick update on accreditation. As I've reported out, we have accreditation and accreditation writing team that we are working this summer. We've been working all of June to write the first standard, or to edit the first standard sections of the self-study, and our timeline is to roll out these standard sections beginning in September. I also wanted to let you know that the district was one of several community colleges that were asked to object to ACCJC being, let me phrase that a little bit differently. There's a pending lawsuit with the AFT and ACCJC. As part of that lawsuit, the AFT has asked that the ACCJC give numerous documents over for this lawsuit. And some of the documents that will be included there are confidential documents between the ACCJC and community colleges. So numerous community colleges would be, their documents would be part of that, and we were approached as one of the many to object to our documents being distributed for the purposes of that lawsuit. So we are working with legal counsel and have asked that our documents not be distributed for those purposes, especially those that could be confidential. So I just wanted you to be aware that that was in process.
What are they trying to prove?
This is ongoing with the teachers, the union, and the teachers from City of San Francisco from the accreditation. This is still rolling over from that City of San Francisco accreditation issue and the lawsuit that was brought up regarding that.
And the AFT stands for?
So American Federation of Teachers, but it's
teachers
a
union.
national arm of like our California Teachers Association. But you'll recall, Greg, when City College was under their accreditation sanction and those lawsuits were filed, even though it's been resolved now and the courts have made some rulings, and then also at the end of the day, San Francisco City College finally got their accreditation reaffirmed. 90% of that dust has settled, but AFT is going to hold on to their lawsuit against the ACCJC. And the reason that they're pursuing it further now and they're requesting these kinds of confidential documents from us is they're still trying to show, based on the exchanges of information between unit colleges and the ACCJC, that the ACCJC overstepped their bounds. We just don't want to be, we're a party like 15, 20 other colleges in this that were under review that year. We don't want our potentially confidential documents to be exposed. So we're joining with the other group right now to put up our initial rejection to that, and we'll keep you posted as the legal process grinds its way through.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Additional items at the ACCJC level, they have appointed the new president of ACCJC who took Dr. Bino's place. Dr. Richard Wynn was appointed as the new president. He has served as the interim since 2016 December, and he was prior to that VP of Operations, and he also served at WASC Senior for 12 years. And I've personally worked very closely with him over the past 6 months, and I really am pleased with his appointment, and I think will be taking the agency in a really positive direction. At the same time, interestingly enough, 2 of the remaining VPs retired effective June 30th, 2017. So they are currently searching for a vice president, a director of accreditation processes, and a director of substantive change. In addition, at their June 17 meeting, there were actions taken on 41 institutions, and we like to pay attention to the different actions that they are taking because it kind of tells us, as we're preparing for us, where colleges are going. So they had an initial accreditation given to El Camino College, who is looking to become its own college again. 4 colleges reaffirmed for 7 years. 4 colleges reaffirmed for 7 years with that 18-month follow-up report that we've talked about. And I indicated on here any local colleges that were given the different findings, and West Hills Lemoore was one of those. Reaffirmed for 18 months with a follow-up. 3 colleges, including Merced, issued a warning, West Hills College Coalinga, removed from warning 1 college, and then the others were follow-up reports and midterm reports. At the last meeting in May, I let you know who the folks were slated to be new commissioners, and the folks that were slated were indeed elected, and so this is just the list of the folks who are the new commissioners. That is my report. Any questions?
Very good. Thank you for that. And so next on the agenda, under the superintendent's report, I see that we have this is always one of my favorite parts of the agenda, and that is introduction of new faculty.
Right, so Dr. Lacerna has maintained her post at the podium because as our VP of Academic Services, she'll be sharing with you either our deans who are here this evening or making introductions of these faculty to help us herself.
Okay, great. So We have, the first person I'm going to invite up is Millie Owens, our division chair for Consumer and Family Studies, and Vanessa Bailey, our new faculty member in Child Development. We had 2 retirements in Child Development this year, and so we've hired 2 folks. One you met last week. As you can tell, Vanessa could not be here at the June meeting because she was very busy. And so
I think
Millie's
she's taking
doing
child
this.
development seriously.
We believe Jennifer now, you really were in labor.
She wanted to prove she was qualified.
We have a well-qualified practical experience. Yes, 10 pounds, 8 ounces. So it's a nice big baby. Yes. This is Vanessa Bailey. She has a bachelor's degree from Fresno Pacific, a master's degree from Broadman, extensive work experience in the field, Head Start, and several other places. She's taught adjunct for us very successfully for the last several years. Comes from the Hanford area right now. Yeah. Any questions for her? Anything you'd like to say?
Congratulations.
Welcome.
Okay, and Dr. Waldner is going to come up to introduce our new plant science faculty member. And you guys may say, didn't we just hire plant science? We did. And we didn't. Wait, did I do it backwards? We did. However, we had a different opening in the area, and it was the ag technology. And our plant science person applied and received that position, and so we had an opening in plant science. So we are hiring again for plant science. We hired.
And so I'm excited to introduce to you, come on up here, Dr. Allison Ferry-Aby. So Dr. Ferry-Aby is a native of the Central Valley, and so she has extensive knowledge of the area and agriculture in the area. She did her bachelor's degree in plant science at Fresno State. So she's got those experiences and a doctorate in plant pathology from our land-grant institution from UC Davis. And following her doctorate in plant pathology, she took on a position with the University of California, Davis in Tulare Kings. So she's been serving as the assistant director for Tulare Kings County Cooperative Extension. And so with extensive background in the plant science area, in particular, she's published in numerous journals, newsletters, and specifically grower publications. And her research is really an applied research. So we feel extensive extension background. So those of you that don't know extension, what that means, she's got an extensive teaching background with adult learners, people already out in the field practicing agriculture, plant science, whatever the case might be, agronomy. So we're feeling very fortunate to have her. She served would be equivalent of maybe our academic senate, so she's got a good idea, been an officer for the academic council, the academic assembly council with UC Davis as a part of the cooperative extension service, invited speaker at hundreds of grower workshops. We just feel so fortunate to have her on board because of her expertise, both in education extension, so outreach, education extension, teaching from that regard, but also just the content knowledge within the plant science field. And I know our industry already expertise is out there. When I called and got her reference check from Mr. Kevin Day, who is the director of the Cooperative Extension Service, he said he was going to fight me for her when I called for that reference because he was grooming her to be his replacement in that role. So I just said, hey, just bring her over here and we'll work together cooperatively with the Cooperative Extension Service and UC Davis. So we're so excited to have her on board, and I'll let her tell you a little bit about anything else she wants to say.
All right, well, good evening, everybody. Thank you to the entire board for inviting me here tonight, and thank you, Luann, for that really nice introduction. I just want to say that it's really exciting to be on board here at COS. Agriculture is such a huge industry here in the Central Valley and especially in Tulare County, and there's such a huge industry need for technical skilled workers. And being part of the COS family and teaching students how to fill those jobs is really exciting for me. It's filling a huge industry need, and I look forward to building the program over time. The Tulare campus is a gorgeous campus. I'm excited to be there and see what we can do to expand the already good program.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and I'm going to invite our Dean of Arts and Letters, Mr. Marshall Fulbright, up to introduce the rest of the group here. We have the good fortune of hiring 3 English faculty full-time. We also had a retirement in music theory a few years ago, and so we were able to refill that position this year. And then we have, just as in English, an ever long list of a waiting list in communication, so we're expanding our communication positions as well.
Good evening. I'm very excited because as you all are all aware of, hiring is really a commitment for long term. And in this area, in my area of arts and letters, we get to hire, as you can see, five new people. So the English department is very excited, communication is very excited, as well as music being very exciting. The first person I'd like to introduce is Katie Barbarian. So come on down, Katie. I feel like the price is right. Come on down. Katie comes to us originally from the Central Valley, from Fresno. She has a BA in English from Fresno State, as well as a master's from Fresno State, and with a certificate of composition.
Yeah, composition theory.
Composition theory from Fresno State. She's been teaching at Fresno City, Fresno State, Clovis Community College, and her most recent experience was a full-time temporary faculty member at Reedley College. So we were lucky enough to nab her up, and we're very excited to have her, and welcome, Katie.
I just wanted to say thank you for this opportunity. I'm just really super excited to get involved in this community, and I'm excited and ready for the semester to start, I guess. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bryce Nakamura. Come on down. Bryce is also here in Visalia, but has lived, according to himself, up and down the West Coast, from Portland to Long Beach. Has a BA also in English from Fresno State, and a master's in English composition with an emphasis in first year writing classroom, which is phenomenal for us here, because he's going to be able to really address a lot of our first year students and a lot of our basic skills students. He has that experience. Something interesting about Bryce is that he has taught English in South Korea, a year in South Korea. So as myself, someone I taught in Taiwan, that's very challenging, can be very challenging, and it's a very different experience than our students here. He has been teaching here and at Reedley as adjunct for 3 years. And another interesting thing about Bryce is that he practices and studies Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes.
Okay. So please welcome Bryce.
I'm glad we got the memo on shirts, by the way. That's really great. It's such an honor. I've worked up and down from Madera to Tulare to Hanford, all over the Central Valley. And what I really love about COS is sort of the connection with the community that I have, with the students, with the faculty here. So I'm really excited to become a full-time member of the College of Sequoias. And also I've been a longtime Oakland athletics fan, like born and raised. So for the first time in my life, I get to say, go Giants.
And me.
Yes.
I thought you were going to go on a trip to Vegas when you started mentioning the Raiders. A's. Yeah.
Any questions?
Where did you go to high school?
Kind of everywhere. I went to Oregon City High School up in Oregon City, Oregon, for a year. I was at Martin Luther King High School down in Riverside, California, and I completed my senior year at Reedley High School.
And you were our adjunct rep, right?
Yes, I was. I was president for a year.
Yeah.
He is, yeah.
And you came to all meetings.
Yes.
See, we remember those people.
He's moving from Pasoffal president to full-time
There
faculty.
you go. Well, welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Bryce.
much.
And next we have Lucia Tejada. Tejeda. Lucia is originally from Southern California, from Los Angeles area, and relocated to Visalia in 2013. She has been in the education field for 17 years, since 2000. Has a bachelor's degree in English from UCLA, and has a master's degree in literature from Cal State Los Angeles. So please help me welcome Lucia.
Hey, Lucia. I want to say thank you very much for this opportunity. I love our students and I love working with our students. It's a wonderful experience, and I look forward to more great experiences with staff, the faculty, and our students.
Thank you.
Next, we will head to music. Mr. Johnson. Brian Johnson comes to us originally from Peoria, Illinois. Has lived in Visalia for 12 years, has worked as a music pastor at Grace Community Church for those 12 years, has a bachelor's degree in piano performance from Illinois State University, a master's degree in piano and vocal performance from Northern Illinois University, has completed all of his coursework for his doctorate in piano performance at the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., has come to us with over 19 years of collegial teaching experience, 3 of which were at Montana State University. And an interesting thing about him is that he loves cross-country skiing. I'm trying to figure that out, but I guess, how far is the snow from here? How much do you do?
It's a good year.
It was a good year. There was been a bad couple, but this one was a good one. Yeah, there was like 13 feet up there when I went in the winter. So, I get a little bit of that done. I'm thrilled to be here. I've been teaching 7 years as an adjunct, and have been squeezing in any kind of tutoring time I could on Fridays, my day off, and I'm just thrilled to be able to be full-time and hunt down the various students who I wanted to get to who maybe didn't get the full attention that they, could have helped them hang in there. So, thrilled to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Amy Ali. Amy Ali is going to be our new communication faculty member, originally from Bakersfield, California, has taught multiple levels of education, including elementary school, high school, and at college. 4 years experience as a speech and language therapist, 9 years teaching experience at the various different college levels, including here last at College of Sequoias, has been an adjunct here, has her bachelor's degree in communication from UC Santa Barbara, a master's in communications from Fresno State. And something interesting about Amy, I've asked them all to give me something interesting, is that she has an identical twin sister who's also being presented this month at Bakersfield College for a full-time position in communication. So I hope this is Amy. I don't know.
Is it or isn't it? My sister happened to interview for an adjunct position, and the next semester there was a full-time opening, and she ended up not interviewing for that position. She's like, I'll let you go for it. I'm like, okay. But again, the committee was like, is it you? I'm like, I don't know. But I feel like it's fate if we're both getting hired in the same semester. So I just wanted to thank you guys very much for accepting me, and I'm really thrilled to teach our students, and I'm excited to join our amazing communication and fine arts division. It's just a wonderful team to work for, and I'm excited to help continue to serve our students. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, introduction of one of our newest administrators.
Okay, tonight I'd like to introduce Glenn Profeta. He's our new Dean of Technology Services at College of the Sequoias. And Glenn was born and raised in Glendale, California, and attended Oregon Institute of Technology for a degree in computer engineering. I feel like I'm selling him to you here. He later attended Cal State University Fullerton for a master's in technology. He comes to us with excellent experience. He's had 11 years at UC Irvine in technology, so higher secondary education, and then worked for 13 years, some at Orange Coast College and then at Coast Community College, district. So first at one of the colleges and then later years at the district level as a director, and he has experience in almost all the areas of technology. So he comes to us with excellent experience. We got pretty fortunate. His wife came to the Central Valley about a year and a half prior to take an administration position with a nearby community college, and so that brought Glenn this direction. Now he's followed, so he cannot say that he didn't know about the heat and things like that in the summer. They bought a home in Hanford, California, and they're settling in, and I'm just going to say it, they're settling in for the long term.
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. So we're very fortunate to have him join our team. I forgot to ask him about something interesting, so I'm going to let him share a little bit more about himself.
Surely you
Something
come up with
interesting.
something. Well,
And other good.
I can do that. I'm hiking the Pacific Crest Trail. I've done 600 miles of that. I shared that during my interviews. And I'm right about just directly east from here right now on the Pacific Crest Trail, so it's perfect timing. So, but thank you very much for inviting me tonight. I'm very honored to be here. I'm very proud to be serving the College of Sequoias. Thank you.
Wait, I have a question. What's your target date to finish your hike? Or do you have one?
My target date was about 2 years ago.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah, so it's out there. I don't really have a target.
Okay, great. Good for you.
All right, well, good. Congratulations to all the new faculty that were introduced. And as I said before, this is always one of the favorite parts of our meeting. So having said that, I would like to now give you the opportunity. This might be a good opportunity for those of you that came strictly for the introduction, not only the ones that were introduced, but any folks that came in support of the introductions. If you would like to take this opportunity to leave our meeting, you're certainly free to do so. If not, you're welcome.
Okay, we're all going to turn
You're
around.
welcome to stay.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, Brent's trying to leave over there. No.
Yeah, that wouldn't apply to current vice presidents.
Okay.
All right.
So we'll move on to reports, additional reports, I suppose. And first on the reports agenda is the Academic Senate report. And I don't see Dr. Trimble here today, so I'm assuming we do not have a report.
No, July report.
Costa President's report.
Did he?
I saw Mr. Hurst here, so.
Yeah, I don't.
He must have wanted to do a report.
No report.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I'm sorry, no report.
Nice recovery, Dave. Okay.
All right, I don't see Mr. Lamar here for a CSCA report. He must be on vacation.
Yeah, that's a rarity, huh? We better call Lamar. I better put an APB out on him.
Okay, Mr. Nakamura gets to speak again.
I actually just want to quickly address the board here. I just wanted to let you guys know I resigned my position as the president at the end of May, and so Lucia Tejeda will be taking over for the summer. In August, we will convene a meeting and start seeking nominations for a new president and vice president, and kind of have a changing of the guard. But I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be part of the meetings. I feel like I've learned so much, honestly, from being at these meetings. And at first it was like, I don't know what some of the acronyms are, and I'm gonna have to go home and Google all of them. But it has been really eye-opening to kind of see the broader picture of how the college works. And so I want to say thank you to all of you for your time and your effort that's put into this. Thank you.
Yep. And so he just disclosed that Lucia was their sitting vice president, so she'll be holding the CASAFA presidency just until they can re-elect, because we hired her into full-time faculty.
Yeah. So
We're
that's,
we're
I'm
gonna
sure
teach
you're
her
happy about the hirings because several of these hirings came from your ranks.
Right.
So
Adjunct ranks.
that's good.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, we'll move on to information items. College and Career Access Pathway CCAP agreement with Visalia Unified and Tulare Joint Union High School.
And I just wanted to add, President Nunes, that of the adjunct of the new full-time faculty that we introduced tonight, all but one were current adjunct.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that many.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. So shows what.
We had any adjuncts left.
We do. We have a few. And that just goes to show the quality of the adjunct and how seriously we take hiring, whether part-time or full-time. So before you have the first read of the California, I pulled the wrong one up, sorry. The College and Career Access Pathway Agreement with Visalia Unified School District and Tulare Joint Union High School District. And there's these are required to come to both boards, the high school district board and the college board, twice. And so this is your first read. It'll be back in the next meeting. And basically this is an agreement with the new legislation that came out last year. You saw these last year as well, for us to it's a little easier way to do some of the dual enrolled classes. And so this particular one you have for you with Visalia Technical Early College is for Agriculture 119. And the other one for Tulare Accelerated Charter High School is for our electrician training program and our Human Development 121 classes that we teach there. So this is first read, and it's recommended that we move those on for a second read in August.
Okay, does anybody have any questions on that? Jennifer, I suppose that we'd have to change there's been a change in Tulare, and so you
On
might
the
want
agreement itself,
Okay, we'll get that updated.
we'll put the new superintendent's
Okay.
name. Yep.
We'll get that for the next meeting. We'll get that for sure.
So it's required, as Jennifer said, it's required that we bring these to you first for information so you can see the agreements we'll be getting into to enable some of our dual enrollment classes to be able to happen at our high schools. This will come back on action agenda in August for your formal approval.
Okay.
Thank you. But I quick question though.
Yes.
I'm not seeing like the English is in that.
Right.
This is
No,
just the electrician.
correct. And that was with those CCAP agreements, there's a lot of guidelines for the type of courses that can be included in these types of agreements.
Pathway courses.
Pathway courses, they're designed to go toward a career, that kind of thing. But also one of the big caveats for English is that they're not supposed to have a waiting list or be impacted at the college that you're offering them from. And so, for example, with English, we can't really offer these because we always have waiting lists in English. And then it's not necessarily career, but there's a lot of different variables for which classes can be CCAP. So we have, 40, maybe 36 dual enrollment classes in the fall. And just these ones are qualified for the CCAP.
CCAP.
The others have a regular MOU
Yes.
that
Yeah.
we have.
Yeah.
This
With
one's
the,
considered a different.
yes.
Yeah, it's a different vehicle to do the same thing, Lori. This focuses on, as Jennifer said, some of that career tech ed.
Stuff.
Yes.
And the new legislation, the reason we like these agreements is it makes some of the difficulties with open enrollment and some of the other issues
Public
that we've
access,
had.
public access.
Open campus, those kinds of things. It allows us to be a little more flexible with that.
All right, that moves us to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any person in the audience and considered as a separate agenda item. So having said that, are there any items on the consent calendar that anyone would like to pull and have it acted on separately?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar, items 2 through 12. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. President, before we leave that item, if I could just note for the record, on that consent agenda, items 5 and 6 were the acceptance of donations. And they're fairly sizable amounts, but I don't know that if you were just in the public, you would understand the connection.
Correct.
So just very quickly, That's bringing the paper title back to the district for prior projects that were completed as partnerships between the district and the College of the Sequoias Foundation. So in any given year, whether we were providing $35,000 worth of improvements to the baseball clubhouse or nearly $300,000 in a new softball dugout and clubhouse, they're substantial investments, but they were done and completed as a part of a partnership arrangement between the district and the foundation. And this action is really just to bring the paper title back now, because the foundation isn't, they're a 501c3, a nonprofit. They don't have the capacity to maintain and manage property and inventory it. Besides that, the property's ours.
Yeah, and it's gotta go
So
on.
we have the title now. It's kind of like we paid off the loan, so we got the title. But wanted the public to know that's the reason these sizable items were on the consent agenda.
President Kerry, so it's also my understanding that not necessarily all these funds, in the case of the money spent, would have been spent by the college. Some of these monies would have come from donations through the foundation, correct?
All of it.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't
These
know
were foundation-funded projects, which is why they originally held the title. But now that the, quote, funding is complete, construction is complete, bills are all paid, the foundation isn't really a property owner. So they're transferring title back to us. We'll take responsibility, the liability, the maintenance, the upkeep, all of that. But they've done the improvements for us over the years.
Tim didn't want to do the maintenance.
I don't blame him. It's a lot of work, man.
All right, well,
All
thank
right.
you for that explanation. That moves us to board policies, item 13. We
Okay.
have policies for, is this the second read?
This is a second and final read. So if I may, Mr. President, we have these policies from our 5,000 series brought forward. This was the last of the series of updates we did this year to the student services section of our board policy manual. And we reviewed these and their specific changes at our last meeting. They're here tonight for second reading and final approval. We'll answer any questions you might still have.
Okay, well, I don't have any further questions. Does any other board member or anyone else have questions on that? So,
Thank you for sending the procedures that go with those.
so if not, I would entertain a motion to approve the various board policies. We can do it all in one motion?
You can take all of these items in one motion.
Okay.
Move to approve the 5 VPs listed in our action item number 13.
Second.
Okay, that was kind of a tie. I'm going to give that to Greg this time. So,
You're a little quicker than Earl.
we have a motion and a second to approve board policies as reflected on the agenda. Is there any additional discussion?
Mr. President, may I just
Yes.
add a comment really quick?
Sure.
On 15 and 16, I'm really happy to see, and I know Trustee Zumwalt would probably be in the same, feel the same situation I'm feeling, is that we're happy that some of these improvements are coming to Hanford, which I think is one of our centers. So I think it's really good to see some of this funding going out there and really helping out the center, and I think the students would really appreciate that. Just wanted to make that.
Okay, good. All right, so that's 2 items down on the agenda, so that's what you're referring to, correct? 15 and 16 agenda items.
Oh, yeah, correct, I'm sorry, Mr. President, yeah, probably a little bit.
All right, no problem. Listen, so we, all those in favor, I guess, is where we're at.
Aye.
Aye. So the board policies are unanimously approved.
Thank you.
I know Mr. Strawn's trying to throw me off of my, I think it's a test, right? Okay, so item 14, notice of intended action to reduce the classified service due to lack of work or lack of funds, and this is a resolution, and I see Mr. Bratch is at the podium.
Unfortunately, the grant funding for one of our programs on our campus is ending at the end of September. The program is the Science Undergraduate Research Group Experience, otherwise known as our SURGE program. It's staffed by one employee, an activity lead, And unfortunately, again, because the grant funding is ending, we have to initiate the layoff process. Tonight is the first step in that process, and I'll be asking the board to officially lay off this position. I have talked to the individual within this program and told him all the ramifications of this layoff. He will be put on a 39-month rehire list in the event this program comes back or a similar position becomes available again. He has rights to apply for that position and possibly be employed back at COS. So I'd ask that the board formally adopt resolution 2017-14.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second for the adoption of resolution 2017-14. Would you please poll the board?
Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Sherman? Aye. Trustee Nunez?
Aye. Resolution 2017-14 is unanimously approved.
Mr. President, can I ask for just a bit of discussion on this particular one?
Okay.
On 4, I know it's passed already, but I just
Sure.
had a quick discussion. Does this affect the surge? This is affecting the surge program, is that correct?
Yes.
And would this be affecting the Friday night?
Friday Night Labs,
Labs.
is a project that's been sponsored with resources from the College of the Sequoias Foundation as well as the grant. So it isn't tied to a particular individual or person, but what happens in a situation like this, Shane, is when the person who was hired or the people hired to provide the program and the service are hired from a state grant that's awarded us. When the grant expires, those positions are terminated. So it may have an effect on some of the services, but there are also things like Friday Night Labs that have been institutionalized because other resources have come in to support them. For example, what they would solicit from a group like the foundation to continue to provide that, they could continue to do regardless of the grant funding going away. So it may not have a direct effect on Friday Night Labs. I think we'll have to see how the year goes. Okay. Who's here, who's available, who's willing to continue to provide work and contribute. But this is required by law just for us to give proper notification to an employee whose status is going to be changing because their funding's running out. So we have to let them know that so that they have time to prepare.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Woods is up next with items 15, 16, and 17.
Yeah, I'm going to move on in up here. I'll be here a while.
Well, you haven't been here for a while, so
I know.
so welcome back.
Thank
Look
you.
at you.
Thank you.
I like your shirt. It's very
And
COS-ish.
And nice little, got your tie clipped
I know.
on.
Foundation, oh, he's gone.
That should be like the official COS shirt.
Works for me.
Brent, you probably have that one, right? No?
Similar, something similar I've seen. Okay, moving on to item 15, the change order for the COS Hanford Educational Center Student Pavilion Project. In the board agenda item, there is a brief background on the history of the project, citing funding sources, scheduling. The main thing I'll touch on here is the construction bid was awarded in February of 2017 to Bush Construction. The notice to proceed was issued on March 27th, 2017. The contractor mobilized right away, got started right away, and everything's been flowing very smoothly since then. With the March 27th start date, the project completion date would be 195 calendar days, would be October 7th, 2017. So at the beginning of construction, well actually let me jump right into PCO number 1 right there. Due to the timing of the DSA submission, which was fall of 2016, we weren't quite ready to implement the audio and visual infrastructure needs for the facility. So we made a decision to intentionally implement these additions either during or after construction. We just weren't ready yet. So at the beginning of construction, things got started. We realized, okay, we've got a window here that we can shoot for to be able to implement these during construction, and so that's what we're shooting for in this let me see here. So the ultimate goal of the audiovisual design was to provide maximum flexibility to accommodate any type of event at the facility, both inside the pavilion and at the outdoor amphitheater area. And we've gone through, I sat in a couple meetings with the IT staff, and we were just throwing out any idea. What type of event would be hosted here, and how could we accommodate that event? Whether it's an outside party coming in to use our facility, whether we're using the facility on a daily basis, outside presenters, anything. So let's go ahead and, can you pull up the site plan for me, please? That would be, there we go, let's start with that one. So I've tried to graphically show each of these changes to you from an aerial view to give you an idea as far as the orientation of the structure on the site. We are actually looking, east would be at the top, north to the left. You can see the north arrow on the top left of the screen. I'm talking with my hands here, but the purplish solid masses are actually the columns, or the footing, so to say, of the building. The amphitheater is on the bottom right there. You can kind of see the curve. You might be able to scroll down just a smidge and catch it. So I added a couple notes in there for reference. What we're mainly focusing on with the audiovisual design is dual projection, and those bright red arrows shooting right and left, those are actually projectors facing projection walls. So there's a control cabinet. The stage wall is kind of, you have a pointer by chance? No? All right, don't worry about it. So the amphitheater's got this curved element to it, and it's got a stage wall that's leaning up against the pavilion. The stage wall is pretty much it's housing all of the controls. It's got a switch cabinet for internet. It's also got an audio-visual cabinet. And all of that needs to link out to all the infrastructure and equipment that we have throughout that building. So we've got the dual projection behind each projection wall. You'll see that note on the right, presentation controls secured behind each projection wall. We have infrastructure everywhere. Our goal was to create pathways of conduit that would just provide maximum flexibility, and that's what's included in this proposed change order. I'd like to point out that the biggest challenge with this facility out there in the open and all this equipment, this infrastructure, is security. How do you secure a projector outside, that's open to the elements? As well as the audiovisual and data cabinets too. So for example, the audiovisual and internet data cabinets, those things are mounted 9 feet above the ground, so that nobody can access it except for, by ladder. Everything's locked, everything is secure. So with that kind of leads into proposed change order number 2. If you want to, actually you can just scroll down to the next page. So proposed change order number 2 included additional concrete massing at the projector and stage walls. So the original design actually called out a 12-inch thick concrete stage wall. And the original design, the intent of it was to just surface mount these cabinets right against the wall, just like this surface mounted. So we looked at that and I'm thinking, okay, well, all the conduit's going to be surface mounted up here. That's just not the greatest design. So we went back and we're actually proposing to make the wall 20 inches thick instead of the 12, and put all the infrastructure, all the conduit and everything encased in the concrete. So when it's all said and done, you look at it, it's just nice and clean, everything's flushed, and it just has a better appearance and it's more secure. So that's the main idea behind proposed change order number 2. In doing so, behind the presentation walls, there are control boxes, and those, we also had an opportunity to create little benches, concrete benches behind those walls with this proposed change order. You've got the cost in front of you there. Actually, the cost for proposed change order number 1 was $61,000 for all the audiovisual equipment infrastructure. The change order number 2, this right here you're looking at, is $24,000. Jumping into change order number 3, this is actually a correction. So those first 2, I call them opportunities for improvement, so to say. When you look at it on plan, it's different when you see it in person. You think, oh man, we have an opportunity to improve this. Let's go for it. Proposed change order number 3 is actually a correction to the original drawings. So there are about a dozen or so precast concrete benches throughout the site. You can't really see them on the plan, but they total nearly 150 linear feet of benches. The architect in their detail, they gave out the wrong height that it was supposed to be installed at, that it was supposed to be casted at. So this is a change order item to revise that height, $8,500 to fix that error. Proposed change order number 4. Now this was the big ticket item. We realized, I think it was the second construction meeting out there on the site, the contractor brought to our attention that the electrical subcontractor was charging us more than $200,000 for a custom light fixture fabricated to fit the curved curbing and benches at the amphitheater. And our jaws dropped right away when we found that out. We said, what? Are you serious? We had no idea. Because the total project cost is $1.6 million. If you figure $200,000 of this is going to that light fixture, that's insane. Yeah. So right away we got on the phone, called the architect, said we have a problem, we need to figure out a solution. They came back, it took them a little time, but they came back with a similar lighting design. We'll still have that same appearance, just a different type of fixture for about $30,000. So big cost savings there. This proposed change order number 4 would provide us a credit for the substitution of about $184,000. So taking into account all 4 of these pieces, the contractor has requested an additional 28 days to implement all these. I've talked it over with the architect. We were both very comfortable with the 28 days. It did take them quite a bit of time to research these changes as well as implement them on the site. So 28 days added to the construction contract would give us a new completion date of November 4th, 2017. I don't see any other changes happening in the project.
I'm just trying to give you advice.
We're gonna get this. We're gonna get.
If you could say
We're gonna get this done.
$150,000, it's okay.
As long as you keep coming in negative, we're
Stop
fine.
there. Net savings to us is the $90,000.
Exactly.
Yes.
Any further questions?
So with that, the district recommends that the Board of Trustees approve change order number 1 for the proposed facility improvements in the amount of a credit to the district of $90,438 and for the 28 added days to the contract.
Looks like you made a good explanation.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Sure.
Is it allowed?
Go ahead.
What's that?
Normally not,
On-
but go ahead.
On the first one, on number 1,
Mhm.
you're widening the wall, but you're putting all the conduit in it.
Right.
So how are you going to repair if it needs repair?
The conduit would not be repaired. So all the cabling is fed through the conduit. So you would never, it's not water lines or anything like that, it's all electrical lines, it's actually cabling pulled through the pipes.
Yeah.
Conduit is
Question.
just a casing inside. The wires will travel.
So if it was exposed, anybody could go
No, that's a
through
good
and cut it.
question. And anything that we
So-
would need to get into, rather than a cabinet being mounted on the wall, if it were mounted flush within the wall, we'd have locking doors, something that would open up so you could get into the concrete. But he's also talking about just the casing traveling through that concrete.
Okay, we have a motion, we had a second, I believe, as well, for the approval of change order COS Hanford Educational Student Center.
You know, it's the first time, I think, since I've been on the board that a change order didn't cost us money.
We actually got a credit.
Earl would be so happy if he was here.
Shane, do you have any comments about this item?
I was in the budget committee when this first arose, and I was really thrilled to see that this is moving forward. And I know one of our city council members here in Hanford is here today, and I know that he's probably ecstatic to see that his community is going to have a great amphitheater here and there for all the students. So this is a great project for them. I know Trustee Zumwalt would also be happy about this particular project, and it's going to be great part of our plans for Student Senate, because we're going to do some really good activities with this when it's completed. So thank you.
Trustee Zumwalt gets stuff even when he's not here.
Right?
That's amazing.
Look at him, man. We're going to have to figure that out, huh?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. So item 16.
Item 16, we have the bid award for the COS Hanford Educational Center Modular Classroom, the site work portion of the project. In your board agenda item, you've got a background, a little history of the project development. So the main thing here is I'd like to kind of recap the schedule real quick of what took place to date. What we really experienced in the design process, it was actually the plan review process, was a delay by DSA for the plan approval. We received that on April 19th, 2017. It took about 2 weeks for us to realize that the project would not be completed to allow for occupancy by fall semester. So I immediately notified senior management, and we took a new target date of January 2018. I mistyped it in there, 2017, I believe. So January 2018 was our target date. The bid package for the site work was issued to bidders in late April, and the bid opening was held on May 31st. The architect's estimated project budget was $250,000. At that bid opening on May 31st, we received only one bid from Bush Construction at a cost of $652,000. That was much higher than anticipated. We immediately knew we were going to reject it, but my main question was, why was it so high? So I think it was maybe 4 days later, we coordinated a meeting with the architect and Bush, and just to go over their bid, the breakdown of their bid, to figure out why, if there was any miscommunication, if there was something wrong with the scope, the drawings. And what we determined was that it ultimately boiled down to the scope itself. There was just too much work in there to get done for $250,000. So we had to cut back. And what we focused on right away was actually removing the rear set of classroom doors. There was actually 2 doors in the project in each classroom, but it was for convenience. The front set of doors, code only requires 1 set of doors for each of those classrooms. We added a second one for convenience. The way the building sits on the site, by adding that second set of doors, it raised the back door up about 8 inches off the ground. That 8 inches required us to do concrete ramps, walkways for egress, handrails, a step, you name it. It's just, right away we knew we could save a lot of money by eliminating those back doors. So that's what we focused on for the drawing revisions. The revised bid package was issued in early June. 2 contractors attended the pre-bid meeting at the site, and both of them maintained communication with myself and the architect during the bidding process. So we felt that we were getting good coverage. We also, just for your information, we also do advertise at the county plan rooms, the builders exchanges, all over Central Valley, coast, all the way up to Sacramento and down to Bakersfield. So we do reach out to all the contractors. The bid opening for the rebid was held on July 5th at 4 o'clock. And again, only 1 bid was received. So we were disappointed in the fact that we only got 1 bid, and it made us question again, why are we only getting 1 bidder? And what we realized was contractors are just busy right now. This is a small project for 105 days. They're just really busy, and they don't want a small job like this. This is a small job for a lot of contractors. And I think the second aspect was they already noticed that a contractor's on site.
Yeah.
Bush is already mobilized. Bush is on site for the pavilion project, that they know right away, well, I have to bring in all my equipment, all my labor. Bush has got a little bit of it here already. Yeah. So he had a slight advantage. Right. So that's what we came away with. So the project schedule is 105 calendar days for the site work. Assuming we were able to get started no later than mid-August, the estimated completion date will be late November. So with that, the district recommends that the Board of Trustees award the base bid in the amount of $463,838 for the modular classroom site work to Bush Construction of Hanford.
I just have one question,
Yes.
because I worry when there's strikeouts and handwritten notes. Is there a reason why I went from 428 to 463?
The bidder has the right to do whatever they like up until the bid opening. So I saw that same thing and I wondered, why did this change? Everything else is typed and that's the only handwritten note. My guess is that at the very last second, they decided to change their number and that's what they submitted.
Making a little more money.
But they have the right to do whatever they want until they submit that bid.
Yeah, and we can close with just 1 bid then, huh? There's no
We can.
legality. Okay.
Right.
Did they know there's one, so my question would be, at the time they made that change, was there any way that they would know that there was only going to be 1 bid?
They just have to take the chance that nobody runs in the room the last second and hands that second bid in. Yeah. And that happens a lot. So it's a gamble on their part. They But I mean, they have to submit that before 4 p.m.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
it's
I
a
think
second
you're-
later, we don't accept it.
You know, I think your explanation, pretty much satisfies me, but I think that was, when you
I
see
would
that
have
change.
figured out how to get it typed. If they were gonna change it, I guess would be my recommendation.
That happens
Yeah.
a lot too.
Yeah.
They're crossing out everything, rewriting
It
everything.
does, okay.
All right, so, okay.
Mr. President, I move that we approve item 16, bid award, COS Hanford Educational Center Modular Classroom Site Work.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of item 16, the COS Hanford Educational Modular Center site work. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 All those opposed? None. Motion carries. All right, last item on the agenda is the 5-year construction plan, 2019 to 2023. And looks like there's I tell you what, this is not an easy report to try to decipher on your own.
97 pages, I think.
So I hope
Yeah,
you
we
can,
like the one-page recap.
Do you have an executive summary?
Yeah, the executive summary.
Yeah, I want the flow chart back.
Yeah, you do have a one-page recap. I typed it up for you.
Okay.
In fact, you can jump right to that.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine. Page 2. So the 5-year construction plan is required by the Chancellor's Office. It's submitted on an annual basis to the Chancellor's Office. The document outlines the district's 5-year vision of major construction projects, as well as accounting for enrollment, growth, decline at all the sites throughout the district, so all 3 campuses in our case. So the list, to recap, the list of projects being submitted is very similar to last year. You'll notice that. The only major change is actually the funding of the basic skills project. So this is very exciting for us. This is a big moment for us. In November 2016, California voters passed Proposition 51, and which was a general education, higher education bond, total of $9 billion. $7 billion went to K through 12. $2 billion was allocated towards capital projects for community college districts. Fortunately for us, we did have one project on the list. I think there's a total of 29 projects that were approved for funding. Ours is one of them. So with the passing of the Prop 51, we did secure funding for the Basic Skills Center project. However, this spring, Governor Brown released his 17-18 fiscal year budget, and he did not include our project. In fact, initially he included 5 projects. Most of them were just emergency repair-related projects. I think maybe a month later, they did agree to include 5 more projects. And every project, it's got a score that's associated with it, so you're competing against every other district based on the scoring of your project. So we do have a very competitive project, but I think the second set of 5 projects that they funded, they probably just started at the top and are working their way down. So for 17-18 fiscal year, 10 projects have been funded. That leaves the 19 leftover projects, and the Chancellor's Office has communicated that they're very confident that these projects will be funded in the 18-19 fiscal year budget for the governor's budget. So let's dive into the list in front of you. This is what I see in Fusion. It's the state's facilities database. Number 1 on the project list, you'll see that's been there a little while. It is going to take us some time to close that thing out. This is phase 1 of site development and facilities for the Tulare campus. It's just number 1 on the list in Fusion, and it just was never closed out in Fusion. So closeout's in progress. We have a lot of digging to do to find out what documents we needed to submit. It does not, it will not impact Basic Skills Center or any other future projects. It's just something on the list that needs to get taken care of. Fusion is
Energy Conservation Program?
No, Fusion is the statewide database for the Chancellor's Office to, it's where all the facilities data is kept. Facilities, utilization, space, inventory, options, net.
Right, but isn't in Fusion, isn't there a series of standards that are green now that we're working toward or adhering to? Isn't that where that lies?
No, there's nothing with green in Fusion. It's mainly got it's got a planning component.
In Fusion or in Fusion?
No, no. I thought that in the Fusion program,
the
that our
database.
sustainability and our green requirements, that's where we earn points for all of those.
No, there's
Okay.
nothing for green.
Okay.
There's a planning module to it where we just create projects like
Right,
this.
got it,
There's a
okay.
project module, which once they're funded, they get rolled over into the project module. And the other one is space inventory, and that keeps track of every single square footage of every room, the coding for every room, what function it is, so all that kind of information.
So does this report come from Fusion or you?
That's printed out of Fusion. Yep.
Okay.
This is
Yep, the entire report.
the one that can.
That's why you can't do
Exactly.
That's right.
Right. So number 2, Basic Skill Center, I just spoke about that, just to recap the scope. That will replace the Buckeye and General Grant buildings over here on the southeast corner of the Visalia campus. The new building is about, I think it's 20,000 square feet gross square footage, 15,000 assignable square feet. The status of it is FPP approved. FPP stands for Final Project Proposal. So it's been approved by the state to receive the Prop 51 funding, most likely in the 18-19 fiscal year.
Is our intelligence point to that, Byron?
18-19?
Yeah, we saw the final budget approved this year. They bumped a few more projects. That is the word on the street that next year, the other remaining projects.
Actually, you mentioned 5 more. They actually bumped 10 more. Right at the last minute, they did 5 more. So it's up through 15, and the
Right.
remaining 14 they anticipate will be funded the following year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then based on the schedule, we planned 2 years in advance, so based on what was submitted 2 years ago, in fact, it might have been 3 years ago, we will have a 2021-22 occupancy date. Project cost is outlined right there. Total project, $14 million, just over $14 million. The construction cost is just under $11 million. Moving on to project number 3. This was the district's second priority behind basic skills. Tulare Center Phase 2 academic buildings at the Tulare campus. The scope consisted of new lab buildings, 32,000 assignable square feet. This project was resubmitted as an initial project proposal this year. You can see the breakdown of the occupancy dates, project costs. So what's going to happen, it's been over 10 years since the state last funded, since we last had a statewide bond pass. It's 2006 was the last one. Wow. So it's been that long. So you can say it takes a while for a project to get funded. Being that basic skills has just been funded or approved for funding, it's likely going to be a little while before we get another statewide bond passed to be able to fund the Tulare Center or any other projects down the list. But now's a good time to get our ducks in a row and actually do some master planning, play with the numbers a little bit, figure out exactly how can we get there as soon as possible, and what we need to do. What do we really need? So Tulare Center's number 3, Kern building modernization. That's here on the Kern campus, or the Visalia campus, Kern building. Modernizing the existing Kern building, taking it down to the bones, and reconfiguring that entire building. That project was also resubmitted as an IPP, an initial project proposal. You'll see the projected occupancy dates and project costs on there as well. I want to point out that all those costs, there's no local district funds identified for this project. This would be submitted 100% funded by the state, just like Basic Skills is. And then just recently I've been playing with drafting up some future projects. You see at the bottom of the page there. Hanford was originally carried under the Tulare campus, all their enrollment in Fusion. All that data was carried on the Tulare campus up until last year. We finally separated Hanford from Tulare, and all of a sudden it says Hanford's growing. There's a lot of growth all of a sudden. So I started drafting just a new building just to see how it would score. A 27,500 square foot, assignable square foot, kind of science office labs, student support spaces, and it's scoring really well. So it's something we're going to further look into over the next year, and just see, where does this fit into our master plan as a, for that campus and as the district as a whole. And then last but not least, on the in the database, we still have the maintenance and operations renovation. That's further on down the line. So with that. We are recommending that the Board of Trustees authorize the 2017 submittal of the 2019 to 23 5-year construction plan.
I just have one final question.
Yes.
In terms of Tulare, when you look at that academic building scope and size, and then you look at our master plan for Tulare, the growth, has that building been reconfigured, or is there thought in, is that what we still need? Because it's been so long, and where does that process take place?
I think the need is there, but it can be reconfigured, it can be downsized if we want the score to improve. But you got to think, do you want this small building right now, or do you want to wait until you have the larger building? And we also have to factor in the enrollment out there.
Yeah.
Are we growing as much as we expected to?
I'd like to ask a question on Hanford. Hanford, how much more land do we have out there that we can build on?
Hanford has a total of, it's actually identified in that document, I forget. 100 what?
120 acres.
120 acres, is that the total? Yeah, 120 acres divided by the three agencies, I guess. You got the district, you got the city, and you got the high school district.
But it's not parceled out equally, is it?
No.
So we're on 40 acres?
Because our property goes all the way
To the houses?
Yeah,
Into
yeah.
Millen.
And how many acres are we here?
We are 70 or 79?
Yeah.
So they
All that information is like.
So they can be about half to 3/4 of the size of this campus.
That's a good rule of thumb, Greg. Yeah.
Good point.
Okay.
Yeah, Tulare can be 5 times as.
Yeah. It'd be a university.
Okay, I move to approve. If there's no further questions.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the 5-year construction plan, 2019 to 2023. Is there any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
And that does it for today. Thank you all for coming and sticking with us today, including Dr. Robinson from Hanford.
He got it.